shortcuts exist. Gordon and I talk about this yesterday. Talk about efficiency of movements, and the day before, actually, we started that conversation. And, if we're pushing hard one way, trying to get out of a choke, and you're actually making the choke tighter in the short term, and maybe you can break free from it, but, you try that once, you try that a second time, you make a half-hearted attempt a third time, and, you're being asphyxiated in the process, so you can only do that for so long before you go to sleep. And so if you make a more prominent attempt the first time, a more aggressive attempt the first time to get out one way, and say, all right, then use that momentum and shift aggressively the other way, and save yourself an extra 2 seconds of being choked. And you're still in a shitty position, and you have to fight through that. But we can do that, and we'll get out of there. So there's efficiencies to things where you think of like, okay, we can save half a second of abuse here and a couple seconds of abuse there, and change the work rate of our competition, your energy output versus theirs, and so on and so on. But when people just want to think of like magical time efficiencies, like how do I get everything I wanted ever, and have it right now, And when I hear that sort of thing, which you I'm not saying that that's exactly what you're saying, but that general thought process of how do I get all the good shit right now? I was like, well, if all the good shit was so attainable, then you'd have it already, but everybody else would too. You know what? Most of the good shit is readily attainable. Got plenty of oxygen, temperature's pretty comfortable. Things are pretty good in the world, We live better than kings or queens did not so long ago. So we already got most of the good shit. But that's normalized to you because you're used to it. Because everybody else has got oxygen too, just as much as they like. You're like, damn, they all got oxygen like me. What else can I get? So, instead of thinking about energy efficiencies are good, time efficiencies are good, I like this shit, but how do we build competitive advantages over time? And, I like that thought a lot more of like, if I'm willing to do things that my competition is not willing to do, probably I can solve problems better than them. And if I can solve problems better than the other men, then I'll have bigger and better rewards than the other men. So I don't think about like, oh, I need to do something immediately. So I need to do something immediately that will contribute in some incremental way to a future outcome. But like, oh, how do we shortcut this and this and that? It's like, all right, so either you want to go out and meet people that mostly are a waste of your time. The more time you spend isolated building shit and growing shit, the more value you actually have that you could go out and meet a higher tier of people. Something I was always good at in my lifetime is I truly dislike most humans. But I was always good at finding people that had, they were good at building social groups or had pre-existing social groups. So it was good for me to work on my nerdy things and do the things that I was good at and find other people that like, oh, that one's got access to this cluster of people over there. That one has a big audience over here. That one's got just a few people around them, but those are very useful people. And I was very good at finding those sort of people. So I mean, that's one way to think about a legitimate shortcut that you're like, all right, I kind of prefer to I'm very comfortable being alone. I was the only child. I was the only grandchild on both sides of my family. I don't have a first cousin, that means. So I'm very comfortable being alone. I prefer to be by myself than with people I don't like. I like education more than I like entertainment. I don't need to be entertained. So I'd rather be reading a book or watching a documentary or listening to a documentary in the background while I'm doing something else. You're going to have to go do the things in the niches that you're excited and be around those people. And you have to be one of those people, You have to belong in that group, and you have to be outperforming the others in that group to stand out to the people that are at the top of that group. So, however you're going to do that, that's up to you. But that's what's going to happen, or not happen. That's going to be the make or break. Is like, do I belong there? Do you belong there? Are you well respected by the other people that are well respected in that domain? And ideally, are you well respected by the people that are most respected in that domain? And if the answer is yes, that there's 3 or so of those 10 or 20 people that are very important. If you get 3 of those people that speak well of you, now you're in with everybody. So long as you don't violate what they said. So long as you perform up to the legitimate, objective expectations or standards that's been described about you. So you can't then become a scumbag and your reputation can change super quick. Super quick. I was laughing earlier where he says, I've been working on this for a few years and Derek's been doing it for like 10 years. I was like, oh, 10 years. Only 10 years? When I was a child, when my father would take a break from his cocaine trafficking business, which he later went to prison for, which is why I can speak openly about it. Maybe I'd be watching like Garfield or some cartoon or something, and he'd come take over the room and turn on CNBC. And then we'd watch business news together instead. And I'd say, well, I want to watch, I was watching my cartoon. And he's like, yeah, be quiet, listen to this, you might learn something. So I was like 4 or 5, 6 at that time. And I started watching business news and thinking about business news, by age 4 for sure. 4 or 5, 6. I made my first entrepreneurial money when I was 7. I had my first managerial job when I was 10. So on and so on. So a little more than 10 years, about 40 years. 40 years since I made my first entrepreneurial money. Thoughts about?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like choosing the rooms that you're in. Like Derek was talking a lot about he does things with a lot of intention. So if there's not like a purpose for him to be there, if he doesn't think there's a purpose that he has in that room, or like something that's going to lead to, either financial gain or friendships or whatever the case is, he just won't go. So I think a big part of it is just picking and choosing where you're going to enter into. And I think a lot of those things, a lot of those scenarios where you're going to find yourself in situations with high value people is going to be through some kind of introduction. Like you just don't show up in a room full of 50 high level guys by accident. Like you're invited for some reason. So either like the event invites you for some reason because you're also high level, or like a friend invites you because they think that you would add value to that room, and vice versa. So normally it's if you're not invited to an event for a specific reason, like generally probably don't go. And if you are invited, it's probably because someone thinks you're going to add value to that room, and there could be a good relationship there between you and someone or multiple people inside that room. And if I'm invited to a high-level room with high-level people through a high-level person, then I rely on introductions, through these people, either direct introductions like, hey, I'm introducing you to this person because X, Y, Z, or like, hey, we're in the corner and I'm like giving you the rundown on, hey, this guy does that, this guy does this guy does that. So that way, I can kind of leave you alone and you can kind of finagle your way into positions where you can start conversations with different people, or however you're going to manage it. But usually it's through introductions of a high-level friend to one of their high-level friends or acquaintances.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.